What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sit Down Saturday, and today we are going to be comparing the Make Toys with the Fanstoys Battle of the Jazz. A little freestyle jazz battle. I don't really have any video cleanup stuff like housekeeping to do. I do have a couple things to talk about real quick. One, all of the Soundwave blankets have now shipped. Check your PayPal. You should have got a ship notification. They are on their way to you. There was like four that were remaining, and they are all out the door. Next week is going to be busy. There's going to be videos every day next week, and please pay attention to the Patreon video that's coming, what's new on Patreon, because things are going to be changing on my channel. If you want to know how they're changing, please be sure to check that out. Otherwise, you're going to be real confused after the first. I'm hoping to get that video up on Sunday, and then we're going to run videos all the way to the rest of the year. We're going to finish strong. And I think that's it. So let's go ahead and compare these two. They're both great. Obviously, sometimes I have to use my own subjective preferences. Sometimes I have to use the Sunbow chart as an objective scale chart, etc., etc. Some things are out of my control. Let's go ahead and get started, but you know where we start. And we'll start with accessories. And to be fair, it's tricky because they both have the two different faces. They both have the gun. They both have the shoulder rocket. They both have the speakers. Like, it's almost eerie how similar their accessories are. But the Make Toys did have the extra panels you could put on his hip skirts, which is more of a gimmick. So I'm going to tie them out for accessories. I'm going to give the gimmick to Make Toys. As for build and materials, I got to give the build to Make Toys. The tolerances are just better across the board. Like, the joints move smoothly and appropriately. The Fanstoys one is tight, but it's too tight. Some of the ratchets are too tight. People are talking about unscrewing the shoulders. Like, if y'all don't get out of here. And that's fine. Do what you gotta do to make your toy work right. But in terms of grading build, we have to give it to Make Toys. Now, materials, I'm gonna tie them because they both use great materials. They both use die cast, they both use good plastics, etc. As for hardware, the Fanstoys has a ratchet, a too tight ratchet, but a ratchet in the shoulder. The Make Toys does not. The Fanstoys has one ratchet in the hips. The Make Toys has two. The Fanstoys has ratchets in the knees. The Make Toys does not. So I'm going to give the hardware to Fanstoys. Moving on to sculpt and paint. Eesh, I don't know, man. I can't say there's a clear standout winner from a frontal position. There's things I like about the Make Toys. There's things I like about the Fanstoys. I think they both do a fairly good job. I think where the Make Toys has its biggest problems is in the lower legs, just kind of in terms of looking completely finished. And actually, I don't have mine quite right on that side, but this side is like a much better viewing of it, but even still, it has a little bit off about it. So I think that I'm going to overall tie them out. They're two good looking figures, to be honest. Head sculpt wise, I think Fanstoys does it better, and it's a proportion issue. It's like the face to helmet proportions, whereas the Make Toys face is like so hidden behind the helmet that you don't get as much of an idea about it. It's easier to see it when the camera's zoomed in on it like this, but generally speaking, like on a shelf or whatever, the face does have a tendency to get lost. Like, the head is proportionately smaller to the body than the Fanstoys is. Same thing, I think even the side view sort of pronounces it more. Like, the face just gets lost behind the helmet, whereas the Fanstoys one is just much more pronounced. It's just much more accentuated. It works better, point blank, period. Chest wise, I think the kind of differences are marginal. My Fanstoys one isn't pushed completely together, probably because I was so upset with the transformation that I wanted to be done with it as soon as possible, but I can get it to close up. You'll see it later on. But they both have the kind of vents on top of the hood. They both have the headlights. They both have the grill. They both have notches cut out on the side of the grill. They both have the blue versus the white. They both have the red stripe. They both have the underbelly. The Make Toys underbelly is painted silver versus painted gray, but they're both painted as a matter of preference. I gotta tie them out here. They're bloody identical. From the side, I don't think either of them really nails it either. I kind of like a lot of the sculpted work on the Make Toys better, like in the flank area, but it certainly doesn't look completely finished, and neither does the Fanstoys. The Fanstoys, you can pop off those pieces off those ball pegs, and it kind of works a little bit better in my opinion, and you can kind of manipulate them around a little bit, but like, it's not a great look either way. Both of them kind of make some sacrifices here. As for the arms, once again, I think we're looking at a tie here. Let me tell you what I like and what I don't like. So I like how pronounced the shoulders are on the Make Toys. I don't care for the more slender shoulders on the Fanstoys. The hands on the Fanstoys are more proportionate than the hands on the Make Toys. The hands on the Make Toys are too big, and they both have sculpted detail on the arms. That's a matter of preference. So there's nothing really to give one the edge over when I like one about the other and one about the other. From the side, same kind of deal. feel. I like the shoulder better on the Make Toys, and then obviously the forearm looks better on the Fanstoys, so tie game. Looking at the pelvis, this is where a lot of the Make Toys paint really shines through for me, but sculpt-wise, there's nothing really significantly different between the two. The Fanstoys has those sculpt breakups with the flaps, but I don't think that's a deal breaker. I don't think it's not worth tying them out because of it. From the side, I think I might have to give it to Fanstoys. It doesn't have that gap and slot in the side of it. Now, the Make Toys has the gimmick that covers it up, but we already gave them points for the gimmick. And, you know, the Make Toys is a little slender on the back side, as it were, and the Fanstoys fills out a bit more. So I think, objectively, I gotta give that to Fanstoys. The legs from the front, like, I prefer the silver thighs. I know that's sacrilegious to all you G1 or Toon zealots, but that is my preference. However, I have always hated that gray spirally plastic on this figure. It just never matched the rest of the aesthetic. Had they painted that or chromed that, I probably would give it to Make Toys, but the sculpt work alone on the overcomes the deco there. So I think ultimately, like, between paint aesthetics, like, I'm gonna have to tie them out because I just prefer deco. Like, I prefer the metallic deco of the pelvis on the Fanstoys, but I prefer the silver on the legs of the Make Toys. Like, I'm gonna have to tie them out for paint, and then I'm gonna give Fanstoys the point here on sculpt because mainly of the on the side. I much like the spokes and the tires more on the Make Toys. I think the Make Toys looks more cohesive. It looks more put together, even though it's chunkier. The Fanstoys looks more of a mess from the side. So I gotta give Make Toys the point from the side. From the back, like, I don't like how big the windows are on the back of the Make Toys, but I don't like seeing all the kind of, like, action figure engineering on the back of the Fanstoys. I think they both do a generally good job of cleaning themselves up. I'm gonna give them a tie here from the back. So I think this is pretty fair. Make Toys doesn't win any single category on its own, but it manages to tie in most categories. The only exception being the head and the hips, where Fanstoys takes the lead on both. And I think that is a fair representation of what we end up looking at with that figure. Articulation, the Fanstoys on a hinge swivel. You get all the way up, a little bit down, and a swivel. The Make Toys is basically a ball peg. You get up, down, you get the side to side, but the range is not as great as the Fanstoys, and you get the swivel. Waist swivel, surprisingly an ab crunch. Waist swivel, that is more limited, but you do get a fuller ab crunch. Shoulders, universal, 90 degrees out to the side, ratcheted 360 around. Universal, with an additional hinge to get a fuller range up, 360 around, bicep swivel, bicep swivel. Single hinge elbow that gets you a little bit more than 90 degrees. Double jointed elbow that gets you far more than 90 degrees. Wrist swivel with fingers on a base pen knuckle, the trigger finger being individually articulated. Wrist swivel with fingers on a base pen knuckle, no trigger finger individual articulation. Universals for hips, tensioned out to the side for 90 degrees, ratcheted forward and back for 90 degrees forward, 90 degrees back. Ratcheted universals that get you 90 degrees forward, 90 degrees, oh, I'm sorry, 90 degrees forward, 90 degrees out to the side. You don't get 90 degrees back, but you won't need it. Thigh swivel, thigh swivel. Single hinge knee that gets you more than 90 degrees. Double jointed knee that gets you more than 90 degrees as well, and I would say it's probably about equal. No ankle tilt really if it stays transformed up or down, and you get a pretty good rocker. Ankle tilt up, limited down, and a rocker. They tie at the head because Make Toys has the side-to-side movement, but Fanstoys has the wider range up and down. They tie at the bicep because they both have a bicep swivel. They tie at the wrist because it's both a swivel there. They tie at the torso because Fanstoys has the wider range of waist swivel, but Make Toys has the wider range of ab crunch. They both have a thigh swivel, and they tie at the knees because even though Make Toys has a double joint there, the range is about the same. Fanstoys takes the hands because of the trigger finger and the hips because it has a wider range back, which isn't even helpful, but they have it. And then Make Toys takes the ankles for the ankle tilt up, down, and rocker, the elbow for the double joint wider range, and the shoulders for the more upward movement there, which gives Make Toys the edge by 1 point. Transformation wise, I don't think it's any surprise that that point is going to easily go to Make Toys. This Jazz from Fanstoys Transformations is one of my top 5 most frustrating transformations of all time. I really despised it. It's far more complicated than it should have been, specifically
specifically to pull off both looks because neither are perfect. It's not fun. It's complicated without any sort of real rewarding feeling. The Make Toys is involved, but the only part that kind of gets a little annoying is some of the parts around the lower leg. They had engineering. They just had a better grip on it. They always have. Alt mode wise, I am going to tie them out, and I'll tell you why. I think they're doing two different things, and I think they both nail it. I think that Fanstoys is going for the tune, hyper tune look, and as a result, they get it right. They have the blue windows. They do all of that. They get it right. Make Toys, on the other hand, is coming from that school of Masterpiece where the vehicles were meant to look a little bit more realistic, and I think they excel more so at that. So I think they both do exactly what they're trying to do correctly, tying them out. Scale-wise, he's supposed to be the same size as a Dotson brother, and the Fanstoys one is bigger. It's not, I don't think, an eyesore bigger, but it is bigger. If we had to draw the line on some stuff, the line needs to go to Make Toys here. As for accuracy, I think the Fanstoys takes it, but, you know, here's the thing. The Fanstoys sculpt is good because it doesn't go for super tune accuracy. Look at the proportions here. Look at the shape of the lower legs. The fact that Fanstoys has a longer abdomen and doesn't have the kind of slope out shins helps the Fanstoys look better. That's what I'm always talking about with some of this hypertune accuracy stuff. Sometimes avoiding it is for the best. That being said, the Fanstoys is still taking more notes from the actual kind of cartoon model than the Make Toys is, because the Make Toys isn't trying to. It wasn't that same era. And price, the Fanstoys is more expensive, so Make Toys is going to take that category. The price I have here is that Make Toys Downbeat is $100. I want to say he was even cheaper than that when he first came out. This was probably some sort of re-release, and the Fanstoys one is $150, $160, which I still don't think is a bad price for what it is, but the price is what it is. Which one do you think looks better?
That one. That one feels better too.
Okay, thank you. All right, which one do you think looks better?
This one.
All right, yeah, mess with them a bit.
I like this one better as well.
You like this feel better?
Yeah.
Okay. Which one do you think looks better? This one? Mm-hmm. Which one do you think feels better?
This one.
The other one?
Yes.
Okay.
This one's definitely short, so how can he turn into a car? He'd be like this.
Which one do you think looks better?
Blue.
This one? All right. Which one do you like the feel of better?
That one feels better.
This one? Okay. Which brings us to our closeout. So they tied accessories because they pretty much have the exact same accessories, but Make Toys does have the two extra things to go on the hips if you're interested in that, but that's more of a gimmick. I didn't feel comfortable giving them a point for accessories for that, so Make Toys took the gimmicks, but they tied in accessories. They tied in materials because they both use die cast and sturdy plastics, and they tie in the alt mode because they both nail exactly, I think, what they're trying to go after. Fanstoys takes the hardware because they have more ratchets. They take the sculpt because I think it does a better job overall. I reluctantly gave them the paint because I do think that even though I prefer a lot of the deco on the Make Toys over the Fanstoys does have more paint. So I reluctantly gave them the point there. Fanstoys takes the presence because the family says what the family says, and it takes accuracy because the Make Toys isn't really trying to do that. Make Toys, in addition to gimmicks, on the other hand, takes the build quality because there's issues with the Fanstoys, not only from the ratchet tolerances, but also the paint application. It takes articulation because it just edges it out with a shoulder. It takes scale because it's more accurate to the Sumbo chart. It takes transformation by light years, and it takes price for a final score of 6-5 Make Toys. A very, very, very close versus with a lot of points on the board too. You know, very few tied categories, which is interesting to see because I do think they are very, very close in their overall quality.
And that's that. I mean, it was pretty close. I can see it kind of teetering either way. Like that's I mean, they both scored high. They're both good figures. I'm happy or content with the results. I think they're fair. That being said, I think that what's going to be new on Patreon video is going up tomorrow. That's my goal anyway. So be sure to check that out. Otherwise, you're going to be confused. If it goes up, if I can get it done in time. Got a lot of work cut out for me the next couple of days. But yeah, so I will see you tomorrow. I'll see you Monday at the latest. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.